Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Between the Lions, a podcast about all things Lions, hosted by the Lions Club of Beaumaris. My name is Megan Sinclair and my guest tonight is the 201v5 Governor, Keith Yates. Welcome, Keith.
Thank you, Megan.
Keith joined Blackburn Lions Club way back in 2007 and has served in most of the roles in his club. Keith has also spent 12 years on cabinet, serving as IT coordinator, secretary, and zone chairman before moving into the role of district governor. In this episode, we are going to explore the topic of leadership, what it takes to be a leader in Lions, and in what way, if any, the leadership role in Lions is different to that of any other organization. To start with, Keith, perhaps you could tell us what motivated you to join Lions way back in 2007 and what's kept you in Lions since then.
Thanks, Megan. I suppose the reason for both is the same. The reason for joining was I was looking for a way to give back to the society that had given me so much and to keep giving back to that society. So before Lions, I was doing this in other ways through my involvement with school community, fostering, neighbourhood watch, church communities, and through my interest in various charities. And so Lions came at a time when my involvement in particularly school communities was waning.
And Keith, can you explain the purpose of the role of district governor? For those of us that don't have any understanding about the governance and structure of Lions.
The role of the governor is unlike a role such as a commander-in-chief of an army unit or a business. It's more a facilitator to make sure that we are exercising our care, which is part of our ethics, as well as meeting our moral and social responsibilities to our local communities. And so a district is just a bigger example of a club, because a club is the same structure and requirement that someone should lead the club through these various processes that we need to satisfy to serve our communities.
Also, what I'm really interested in, and I think people don't realize that this distributed leadership and leading through a team instead of as an individual, like a dictator, what you say as the boss goes. It's really a fascinating topic, and it's not easy. It's really difficult to do something like that. Keith, I'd like to ask you, what do you think it takes to become district governor, and what do you think a young Lion should know about fulfilling the role that isn't obvious?
The main ingredient would be a desire to extend yourself and not be deterred by your weaknesses. We can't all be perfect leaders, so we're allowed to bring our own style to the position. This position involves a fair commitment of your time and is spread over a journey of 5 years. It starts with your experience of being a club president and a zone chair. So you really need to be familiar with the operations of your club and then the slightly broader community of the zone, so you can get to meet other clubs. Then your journey would have to be part of serving on cabinet, either in a role of your interest or an interest, but you would eventually make it onto the path of being a vice district governor before you become a governor. Now, it's not as daunting as it sounds, because each of the positions outlined either at the club level or at the district level is accompanied by a fair amount of training that you'll receive through online media, as well as being required to attend various forums. The Lions online training facility is really, really good. I would encourage people who don't even aspire to leadership to go and look at the training modules there, because there's so many ways it can help you develop skills and improve your abilities. But these are all there for you as you take the path to become a governor.
Okay, so it's actually quite a long and it's quite a structured path you have to follow to become district governor.
Yes, it is. One of the requirements, the same as the president. As a president, you need to ensure that the legal requirements and the finance requirements are met through your AGM, and the district is the same. We have got monies that we must account for, and we've got processes we must run to do that. And you need to be familiar with that as the governor. But the lead up to that position would definitely expose you to all the elements that you're required to be across.
And Keith, can I ask you, just out of interest here, You were secretary, I think, cabinet secretary for 3 years.
Yes.
And after that, you were still bold enough to take on district governor. You kind of knew the time commitment that you were letting yourself into.
Yeah, well, I thought I'd done the hard job by being cab sec and the governor role would be easy, but it's not true either. There's just the cabinet secretary role is intense periodically, really intense around conventions and cabinet meetings. The governor's role is intense most of the time. They both require a fair amount of your time.
And so as a governor, you don't feel like you're the big boss of the organization. You feel you're more in a sort of administrative role?
Yes, not a boss. I'm more a figurehead, but I'm surrounded by a group of people who are exercising their responsibilities in various portfolios. So it's not like a CEO or, as I said, a commander-in-chief. You're a figurehead for managing certain activities, leading people to make sure those activities occur. So, for example, one of them is something as simple as a cabinet meeting, just to make sure that everyone understands what their role, positions are and what they need to do. So you would arrange and run a cabinet meeting just to make sure people understood what was expected of them and what is expected of them throughout the year.
Okay, and if you were a young lion and you had leadership ambitions, what would you have to do to go about to become district governor?
The first step would be to basically be involved in what's going on in your club in a leadership or managing role, possibly one of your club activities. And the next steps would be to identify your interests and see if there's an opportunity to use those interests at the district level. Most of the activities of a club can be aligned with a district activity. So you would just have to find where that common interest was. Failing that, you could possibly develop an interest that aligns with the programs and objectives of the district. We always can learn. So the thing would be you could go on a learning journey to see if you could help at a district level in something that you're not really familiar with. And really, clubs and districts should be a place where someone who doesn't know much about, say, lions can learn and develop into a lion. Finally, I would say find someone in your club who's served at the district level who can mentor you or possibly find a mentor for you. So you just need a bit of guidance about the way club works and the way a district works.
And for you this year, we all know it's a difficult COVID year again. What is the biggest challenge you face at the moment and how are you going to solve that challenge?
I think the biggest challenge we face is a lot of the clubs have gone into a shutdown mode or pause mode. And once the restrictions are lifted, we need to ensure that the clubs fire up again. One of the really interesting challenges is the fact that since these restrictions began, we've had a 10% turnover. So approximately 1 in 10 people in our district is a new member. And they've come in at a time when Lions aren't really functioning and they really can't see our works and how we work together. So we're quite keen that once the club activities start up again, these new members are drawn back in and we don't lose them. So this can be done by ensuring that each club makes sure that a new member is introduced to the projects of a club. One of the other ways we want to address this is by the governors have decided that we want to welcome all the new members personally. So as a member joins, we're going to welcome them. And lastly, the district team wants to run a new member forum as soon as we can, once we come out of these restrictions, so that we can gather all these new members together and they can meet other new members and realize they're not on their own and they actually belong to something bigger than what they expected by just joining a club.
So can I just clarify, you say a 10% turnover and I thought, oh gosh, that's like 10% of our members have dropped off. But you're saying we've actually had quite a few new members joining.
We've replaced the members we've lost, yes.
Oh, that's fantastic news.
It is fantastic. It's amazing. People are joining via Zoom.
Talking of clubs, what is the one thing you would like every club to start doing?
This is a tough one because either way, the clubs are autonomous and there's a lot of dimensions to Lionism. So I wouldn't like to pick on the one thing that makes that club unique. There is an obvious thing you should start doing is start doing something that your members are passionate about, because that'll draw them into the activity. So I'd say find your members' passions and help them fulfill those passions in the club.
So what are your passions for this year, Keith, personally? What is it that you'd like to achieve as district governor?
I would love the clubs to open up I would love the clubs to get stuck into their projects. I would love the clubs to start engaging in their communities. So really, anything except being in a lockdown would be a good start. I would love to go out and finish my club visits. Even though I've had 2 years of Zooming clubs, I haven't set eyes on a club or what they do or their people. And my desire would be in the last 6 months of my governorship to visit as many clubs as possible to see them at work in their communities.
So you're planning on making multiple visits as soon as everything lifts in October?
As soon as I'm able, yes.
What's one thing that you'd like to share with everybody that most people who are familiar with your work in Lions don't actually know about you?
My involvement in Seeing Eye Dogs Australia. Diana and I are carers, and we care for puppies from the age of 8 weeks to 1 year and return them to Seeing Eye Dogs to be trained as assistance dogs for blind people. Sometimes they don't end up being assistance dogs for blind people, but they get diverted into other programs. So that is one of our, because we love dogs, so that is a way we can have a dog and give it back to someone when we're done or when it's needed. The other one would be Diana and I both love nature. So we do love birds in Australia in particular, and we do love getting out into the countryside to explore and see new birds out there, especially in Australia. Birds is our thing in Australia.
Doesn't it break your heart when you have to give your dogs away though, after all that training? And
it is a tough call. We've had 6 dogs and we've kept 2 and given 4 back. We can't afford to keep any more.
I just want to circle back to this whole thing about leadership in Lions. I'm wondering if you have any sort of personal reflections on how difficult it is to lead in a distributed organization when all your members are volunteers. You can't order them to do anything. How do you go about this?
One of the things about the district and the people in the district, we've got some fantastic people. So leading a bunch of motivated, enthused, and committed members is a pleasure. And so that part of it makes the leadership doesn't always sit easy on everyone's shoulders. But when you've got a team around you who support you, who supported me right from the go-get on this journey. And that's why I was so keen to tell people you need a mentor. And I'd be proud to say that in our district, you would easily find a mentor. And so I suppose the flip side of that is we've all got different styles. I just have to get used to my style. And some people may not always like it, but I'm not paid that much money to do this job. So if I make a mistake or two, I'm sure I'll be forgiven. The only thing about this job is you won't get asked to do it again. You're not allowed to. So you've got one shot at it. So get on the train and have a crack at it.
What do you see yourself doing after this year?
Whatever's needed. The upcoming governor will need me as his past district governor. So I'll be there to transition the new governor into the position. And it's interesting you asked that question because one of the issues that's come up during my time as a governor is the Lions have changed from having just a people focus to also a cause and issue focus. So one of the really interesting ones is environment, for example. So it's interesting that Lions have taken interest in our environment. And the other one that's caught my eye during my year, especially during COVID, is hunger. We are doing an amazing job in this district providing food in many different ways to people who don't have food security. So when I'm finished being governor, there'd be 2 things that I'd be interested in pursuing, which would be around hunger and environment.
So could you just expand a little bit on the hunger programs that we're doing in the district at the moment?
I'm discovering them every day. Before the COVID, we were doing early morning breakfast sessions, in schools as an example. And that's, we don't think that's hunger, but it is. During this time of the COVID crisis, we've been supporting places like Mitcham Community Meals. We've got clubs down in Moorabbin that are running gardens to provide food security to certain people. Clubs have been donating to the Dandenong a relief effort, basic things like Meals on Wheels as well. So I've been trying to gather them all together and present these in the newsletters. Just watch the newsletters because there's more coming as clubs realise they are feeding people, and it is part of our hunger campaign internationally.
Okay, and also on the environment side, something that I'm very interested in, and I find I keep looking for something that's a bit more than planting a tree. What are we doing in that?
Yeah, well, that's a really tough one. I know our club goes and does part of cleanup of a lake. So there's Cleanup Australia Day, there's National Tree Day, there's just people highway cleaning. Various clubs do that. So it's all part of looking after environment, supporting land care, and also part of bushfire recovery, supporting people who restore fences or again, part of land care, planting trees. So we don't really have a specialist activity, but we've got a broad reach of activities that form part of our environment portfolio.
And you and Diana are keen outdoors people. Once COVID's lifted, where's your favourite spot, your first spot that you're going to be visiting?
You'd be surprised. I would love to go back to the Simpson Desert. It's just beautiful. And you see, especially after the rains, it's spectacular out there.
And last question, Keith. What is your best tip for making the world a better place?
Well, the world wouldn't be a good place if you weren't looking after yourself. So I'd say, please take care of yourself, take care of those close to you, and take care of those less fortunate than yourself.
And I'm going to round out your biography at the end. As people have heard a little bit more about you, they might want to know a little bit more. Just to say, for those that didn't know, that Keith was born in Zimbabwe. That will account for his emblem that he's using for his district governor here. And he immigrated to Australia in 1979 and has been in Lions since 2007. How many years does that make it? 12, Keith?
14.
14 years, sorry. So
Yeah.
it's 14 years as a Lion and 12 years on district cabinet before doing this year. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
And I hope to see you on your club visit.
That would be nice, yes.